dragging in presidents past and present. We've long known former US President Bill Clinton is one of the names that crops up alongside the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But now he's been ordered, along with his wife, former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, to testify about the crimes Epstein committed. The Clintons were issued subpoenas along with 8 other government officials to appear before a congressional committee investigating Epstein.
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 8, the nays are 2.
The panel has also subpoenaed the Justice Department itself for records related to Epstein.
You're making a very big thing over something that's not a big thing.
It comes as pressure is mounting for Trump, both politically and publicly, for the grand jury transcripts of both Epstein and longtime companion Ghislaine Maxwell's cases to be released. Maxwell, who was convicted of child sex trafficking, opposes the release of the files. Her lawyers said Jeffrey Epstein is dead, Ghislaine Maxwell is not, arguing that because she's still alive, it was a breach of her legal rights, and that public interest in Epstein didn't justify breaching grand jury secrecy. The sex offender was recently moved from a Florida prison to here, a lower security one in Texas, to continue serving her 20-year sentence, a move Trump said he was unaware of.
2 questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is?
It's not a very uncommon thing.
The case continues to haunt Trump despite his best efforts to bat it away, dividing even his own party. 3 Republicans already broke away to back the legal order on the Justice Department, and a new national poll has found lines like these.
I'm focused on making deals. I'm not focused on conspiracy theories that you are
no longer convincing to many Americans, with trust crumbling fast. It found 7 out of 10 respondents felt the president is not handling the Epstein files well, while 63% believe his administration is hiding information related to the case. And the backlash has seen a 6-point drop in his approval rating since April to 38%. Epstein never made it to trial. Authorities say he died by suicide in his jail cell in 2019. Maxwell's trial in 2020 included testimony from multiple accusers covering her role in Epstein's trafficking operation.
As far as I'm concerned, that is the time she needs to do to be held accountable.
The Justice Department argues releasing the Epstein files won't reveal anything new or noteworthy, as much was heard publicly at her trial. But it's clear many lawmakers, both Republican and Democrat, along with the American public, believe they have many questions that remain unanswered.
I'm Ana Cabrera reporting from New York, and we're following breaking news out of Washington on the Jeffrey Epstein case. The House Oversight Committee has just issued subpoenas for about a dozen of the very highest level former government officials, including former attorneys general from the past 4 administrations up to former President Clinton. Republican James Comer, chair of that committee, also filed a subpoena to the Justice Department for records related to Epstein. And this move comes after the House left early, you'll recall, for summer recess, specifically to avoid a vote that would have demanded the release of the Epstein files. And joining us now, NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles, and here in New York, former federal prosecutor Barrett Berger. Ryan, tell us more about these subpoenas and how oversight settled on this list.
Well, this is not a surprise, Anna. Right before the August recess, and you're right, it was during the midst of a pretty contentious back and forth between the base of the Republican Party and the Republican leadership about the broader release of the Epstein files. The House Oversight Committee's, one of their subcommittees, during a conversation about a completely different topic, brought up this issue of the Epstein files, and Democrats attempted to force Republicans to vote on the release of those files. Republicans wanted to vote yes, but they also wanted other concessions from Democrats, and that was to bring in this long list of some of the most high-ranking officials who are in positions of power, who had the ability to investigate the Epstein saga over the course of the period of time in which Epstein was accused of making these crimes. And you see on this list, we're talking about attorneys general from that date all the way back to the Bush administration and Alberto Gonzales, also William Barr, Jeff Sessions, and others who were in positions of power during this period of time throughout the Epstein saga. Now, these are subpoenas, so that means they are compelled to testify under law. The question is, how does this process play itself out? They are expected to be closed-door depositions to start. There is also the possibility that the representatives from these different former officials will attempt to negotiate some sort of an agreement with the committee about the form of their testimony and the way that it will be used. That remains a possibility. They could also fight the subpoena in court if it came to that. But this is the beginning of a process in which the Oversight Committee seems very persistent in their pursuit of this information related to Jeffrey Epstein. Anna?
Barrett, how long could it take the DOJ to respond to this subpoena? Do they have to comply?
They do have to comply. It's compulsory, but my guess is they will have a response, because right now we really have a race to disclosure here. We have this happening on the political front with the House subpoena. We also have this happening on the judicial front. We have the DOJ, who has been moving through the court process to get certain grand jury information unsealed. We have them reviewing the files, seeing what needs to be redacted. So it seems like the one thing that we can be certain of is that there is going to be much more information coming out. We just don't know how quickly that's going to happen.
Well, and it seems like the House, at least, is trying to get public testimony from some of these former officials, in addition to the documents it's asking for from the DOJ. I guess when it comes down to it, do you think we'll actually hear from any of these officials, given their reluctance to play ball in the past, especially among the Trump administration in the last term?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting group. They've certainly cast a very wide net, and you have people from all political parties being subpoenaed to come. Will the public ever hear this information? That's unclear. As of right now, these are supposed to be closed-door depositions. So whether that information becomes public officially, I don't know. Generally speaking, we have seen a lot of leaks in the past. We could imagine that, because this is happening in a political sphere as opposed to in a court of law, information may trickle down. I don't know. I would imagine that most of these officials right now will certainly be working with their counsel to try to narrow down the scope of whatever information they would be providing, perhaps to try to provide some sort of written affirmation or declaration instead of actually showing up for testimony. But it will be interesting to see what comes out.
And just following up really quick on something you said about stuff getting made public. So even if the DOJ does comply, hands over some kind of Epstein files to the House, to this committee specifically, would they be made public?
Not necessarily. I mean, again, let's start from the base that these DOJ files contain, there's not sort of one type of document in there, right? So certain documents, it may be very easy to make them public. Certain documents may have all sorts of identifying information about victims, may have certain information that can't be released to the public for security reasons. So I don't know that we should expect that just because information is being made available to the House, that it will be made available to the public.
All right, Barrett Berger, thank you. Ryan Nobles, thanks for that reporting.